Hey Soul Tribe, it's that time of the year. Time to look into what could be going on for you guys in the year of 2025. First of all, are you done with 2024? I certainly am done with this particular year. How has your year been? Because it seems as though a lot of folks have been dealing with conflict, setbacks, a lot of confusion. Chances are you've been dealing with this feeling like you're trying to do everything you're supposed to be doing, but why isn't it all working out? It feels like 2024 could have been a little bit of a conspiracy against you, but I want to encourage you during this time that regardless of however 2024 manifested for you, all of these setbacks, these shifts, even the synchronicities, everything has been orchestrated in such a way so that you can get onto your divine path. So, we're gonna go through the zodiac. We're gonna go from Aries to Pisces, and we're gonna be looking at some key components. We'll break it down by each quarterly part of the year. And then we'll also ask what it is you're going to be experiencing when it comes to your money, your finances, your career. We'll also inquire about your relationships. Are they good? Are they bad? Well, we're going to find out, and where you're going to be on the spiritual path. But overall, I am encouraged. I do have the card of manifest. You guys are in this lovely position where you have set aside a previous version of yourself and have gotten so much better at observing your reality. I've talked about 2024 being the year of observation. If your world were a movie script, what's the story you're trying to tell? Because we go into 2025, it is the year of transparency. Just see people for who they are. It's time for us to get out of this idea that we need to over compromise and overcomplicate our relationships. So, just a quick sort of a taster to see of things to come before we dive in. Got Dare to Dream. Even if it feels as though a lot of the things that you have experienced are anti manifestations, as though things were taken away, trust that those things were taken away for your greatest and highest good. A lot of destruction is happening around you. Allow the buildings to fall, allow the bridges to crumble, and just trust that you are moving into something way more divine. You're going to become way more empowered over this year. Your creativity is going to be going up tenfold when you're no longer held back by the way that other people perceive you. You're limitless. You're no longer adhered to the idea of a glass ceiling, and you're going to be able to get wild, get out of your bubble. And in a lot of ways, I feel as though for the collective, you guys are going to be able to start overcoming some particular blind spots. Let's get one more movement. No matter how it is that this year has gone for you, it was all to create movement to go forward. I just saw 3:33 on the clock. So I got the timestamps below for all of the zodiac signs. You can go by your sun, moon, rising, and or Venus. Let's dive in. Hey there, Aries. Let's have a look at what 2025 could end up being for you. This is actually take two. I really felt like I didn't do Aries justice. Like, I think that some of you guys in the Aries collective, I feel like there's a redo. There is a chance for you to have a fresh look at things. This year of 2025, I think you're going to be able to capitalize on a lot of opportunities. Like, this feels very much within your own energy, the being able to establish yourself, be able to get yourself on a healthy career path of sorts, and I think even finding healthier partnerships, especially if you've been struggling trying to find romantic partnership, or even just business partnership. Like, who is it that you want to team up with, whether if that is formally or informally, to help elevate each other in your career paths. So we're going to be looking at the year based on quarterly events. We'll also take some of the astrological shifts into account. But before I go to cut, I got the card of play. And it's sort of as though people might have been playing with your emotions, or it's sort of like you've been playing around, but I feel like I'm hearing, gangster recognize gangster, game recognize game, and I'm hearing that Aries, you're no longer playing after go to cut. Got the card of routine. Like, get ready for a lot of shifts in your day-to-day life as you go into 2025, and making sure that you're honoring the changes and that you're taking some time to get established within healthier routines. This includes your health. This includes the health of your children and pets, where that might apply. I feel as though in order to elevate, you becoming your greatest priority is going to be, hmm, hmm, like, this is going to be foundational. Because if you can get off to the right start in 2025, the the doorway is just opening for you. And it's sort of like, I'll see it, I'll believe it when I see it. But I think some of you actually do see it even if you don't quite believe it. So, starting off in the first quarter of 2025, we got January, February, and March, and that's where the North Node is going to be shifting into Pisces. And the North Node of Destiny does ask us to reconsider, what trajectory do we personally want to be on, and what kind of karma do we need to leave behind? The Piscean North Node will be a lot about really accumulating all of our lessons, our spiritual lessons, in order to bring in the new. You're the beginning of the zodiac, Pisces is at the end. We've had the North Node in Aries for the last year and a half, and it really has asked a lot of us to really rethink, is this really what we want to do with our lives? Because many of us within 2024 have had to deal with some uncomfortable resets. So for the first quarter, what does that mean for Aries? Communication. Like, I feel as though the way that you communicate with people will be shifting, but I feel more like this is welcoming in a lot of open doors and opportunity, where people might be reaching out. They're kind of curious about you, and all of a sudden, like, my nosy is getting a little bit itchy. So let's get some cards just to see what this could end up being. Especially, like I said, this is my second take on doing this particular reading. I really did not feel like I gave Aries justice, and I feel as though, as it makes sense for you, there's somebody out there that they did not take the time to really understand you. So I feel like something that might have felt like in 2024, like you might have felt overlooked, or you tried it and it's like, okay, I gave it my best. There's a What it goes around, what comes around. And especially with this open communication, um hmm, you're not going to be defeated. This is weird. Okay, so I do have the 5 of Swords at the base over here, like, but I'm noticing the rain. Like, if we see the shadow aspect and we look at the similar energy, like, it's as though, like, someone accused you of being way too emotional. What the fuck? Like, and they overlooked so much about you. They overlooked some important intentions. Like, it's kind of nice. I feel like, Aries, that you just need to kind of just sit there and just be, which is a very emperor type energy. But there's a bit of a warning that whatever this is that's going to be coming back around at the beginning of 2025, like there's a cutting board right here with a knife. It may be tempting at first to just like, get away from me. Ah, like, you've been a little bit defensive, and there's a reason why this energy hasn't wanted to speak to you. So there's a little bit of a, try not to be your emperor dad type energy. Just, there's something about just being kind of quiet and scary as opposed to yelling and scary. Okay, I feel like that someone might personally jokingly offended. We got the wheel. Something is destined to happen. And whatever this opportunity is, whoever this person is, because I am getting a lot of career energy, personal foundation. You really just felt feeling established and confident as you enter into the next phase of your life. Like, you may have felt bad that you let something go, let somebody go, or even felt a little bit helpless. The energy wasn't right. And I feel like this person, they needed to get off on their own and figure out some things within their own energy. There was a lot of emotions that have been tossed around, and I think both of you might have been overwhelmed with each other's, emotionality, communication styles. But let's get more about this particular opening. Do you have Queen of Wands? Like, I feel like there's been a separation between you and somebody else, and it actually had to happen. Both of you had these, it's almost like this frenetic, toxic, feminine energy. And it wasn't even you, it wasn't even this person. Both of you seem to have had this feeling like, I just can't even right now because both of you were completely overwhelmed. Neither of you knew how to operate within the rain. You know, it's obvious to get a rain jacket, but you were too exhausted to consider the obvious. Like, no, I don't intend to sound offensive, but I think you might know what it is that I'm talking about. Let's get a third card here. Six of Wands. It is in the reverse. I feel like there's going to be a bit of a conversation, an honest conversation about why something just couldn't work out the way that you thought it was supposed to. Like, there's this door opening, and like the fact that it is founded by this card of routine, it's as though you and this person, you were living completely different lives. It's sort of like, how can you have a relationship with somebody where they're always working the graveyard shift and you always work a day shift? Like, there are some people that are like, that sounds like a great option, berries, but I don't think that's what you technically wanted out of this situation. Like, while I am again picking up a lot of business relationships and again foundational partnerships, this feels like a big deal. Like let's get a little bit more. Like with Q2 rolling in, we got April, May, and June. We'll be welcoming in the summer solstice towards the end of the quarter. Jupiter will be entering Cancer and Neptune will be going into Aries, like your own home sign. Um, with Neptune going into Aries, like it's our dreamland. It's sort of like, what would it be like to be really established? Because I don't think you felt as though you've been really established. It's sort of like, I know I'm supposed to be this way just because that's what Aries energy is all about. Why can't I just even? But there's something very foundational that's happening within the second quarter. Like Jupiter also going into Cancer, that talks a lot about how you personally expand and expanding your horizons and learning how to grow and to grow up. Like there's this tension between Cancerian and Aries energy where your dream space is going to become a lot more practical. Like up until this point, Neptune had been in Pisces, and that planet's going to be toggling back and forth throughout the entire year, where it's tempting to just kind of bury ourselves in our emotions and focus way too much of the work that's going on within the subconscious. But there's an ask right here. Can your plans be practical? Especially with this conversation. Is being with this person practical? I feel like there's been some, you've been dreamy, like, I want to have a life with this person. I wanted my dreams to come true. Like it just kind of floats away. It's not anchored in whatever this is. And but I feel like there could be closure. Whether if you feel like, yes, come on in, move on in with me. We'll figure out the communication. I finally see it from your perspective. You see it from my perspective. Great. Or it could just be, maybe we should just be friends. Or maybe it's a good thing we don't talk to each other. Like I feel like there's a chance for you to get some semblance of closure. But for the second quarter, what's the energy gonna be like? Freedom. Like there's this freedom for you to decide how it is you wish to live your life, especially if you have had an unfortunate habit of allowing the other person in a partnership, whether if that is a life partner or a business partner. It's like, well, whatever you decide. Like you seem to be the expert. I'll defer to your best informed decision. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's great to hire somebody to help coach you. Like I'm definitely working through coaching right now myself. I'm learning how to become a life coach to help pay it forward for others. But um I feel like you really second fiddled yourself and you've just allowed the person who speaks the most to have the most authority, and that might have come and bit you in the ass. But if this is somebody who's returning to your life, I just feel like this is a really great chance for you to see things for how it is supposed to be. I've talked about 2024, the year that we just need to observe and just see how people are actually behaving, not trying to imprint how we think they should be behaving. But 2025 is a year of supreme transparency, just seeing people for who it is that they are. Like, if somebody's full of shit, you can just look at him and be like, okay, well, I guess they're full of shit. And you can make a decision based on that, not trying to imprint what you hope their potential could be. That is a little bit of a motherly wound. The magician popped out when I said that. Like, the way that you're going to be manifesting your future from this point forward, I'm very focused on the sword. With this card, I accidentally grabbed the Queen of Wands. That's really, really funny. Like, in some ways, I think you've confused ideas with passion and passion with ideas, and aligning yourself to people that they talk a good game, but they have no substance. Forgive yourself, see it for what it is, and then just move forward. Like, this is freeing you from people who would take advantage of you, have no problem taking your money, and being able to start making more healthy decisions towards your own betterment. At the base over here, we do have Eight of Cups, and like, it's you're allowed to have your feelings, but whatever this is, like, however it ends up working out for you, like, you'll be able to have permission to move forward. Like, I am noticing a lot of rain energy, but whatever this is, you're going to get clarity, and you're going to find the key to what it is that you're actually looking for. What do we have at the top? Got the Chariot. I love it. Like, move forward. Don't look back. If you are in the energy of pure freedom, especially for the second quarter of 2025, there's no going back from this. You've been mirroring somebody, and I feel as though you've been admiring somebody, but originally this admiration really derailed you, made you second guess what it was that you were doing. What else do we have right here? Nine of Cups in the shadow aspect. And it's sort of like, because it's sort of like if you're romantically involved with somebody who is also a business partner, but you don't have balance in the terms of, you have all the information you need to build a good business, and you have all the confidence to be autonomous while being in a romantic relationship. People who are married can run a business together. It happens all the time, but it's sort of as though you attempted to do this, but it wasn't working out the way you thought it should, and there's something within you that just made you think, "Oh, well, I didn't give them enough. I didn't give it a try. I'm not giving them enough space. I'm not doing this. I'm not doing that." Listen to yourself. I am not. Like, that's you disempowering yourself and just pretending to be happy, pretending that the results are okay, pretending that everything will be better. Like, I think you and this person made a really bad habit of just pretending. And it's sort of like you guys buried your head in the sand. Like, I am kind of joking. I'm hearing my dog in the background just like rolling around. Like, he loves rubbing his face into things, but sometimes it's like he just wants to bury his face in laundry and distract himself. And it's like you guys were caught up in the sensuality of this. You were caught up in the emotions, but you're getting no results from it. It seems like, Aries, that you're just being asked to have a very honest conversation with yourself. Even if, say, this person doesn't show up at all in the first quarter, there's still a chance for you to have an internal dialogue with yourself. Because I feel as though you are manifesting somebody into your life that would be an equal partner. And there's some kind of contrast between the old and welcoming in the new that you need to have a quick look at, because You want to move forward. You want a different life for yourself, maybe even a different lifestyle. And unless you're feeling okay about making your own decisions, it's going to be challenging. And I think a few of you have worried, well, if I make my decisions and if they don't agree, well, what am I supposed to do? And that is a legitimate question. But there's an ask within here. If they're not aligned to you, then they're not for you. Or maybe you can revisit what this relationship actually means to you. Like, just because you were once lovers does not mean that you should stay that way. Could you just be friends? Just because you were business partners, maybe you shouldn't be romantically entangled. Like, you have the authority to make whatever decision you want about this relationship, but whatever this is, it's designed to inform you so that you can move forward being actually happy, not pretending to be happy. You are destined to be a very successful person, and the universe is trying to, conspire, because it's a fun word to say, conspire in your favor to help you become the person that you desire to be. The only reason you're here, the only reason you stuck with this message is because you do desire freedom. You desire some kind of shift when it comes to how it is that you make money, and you more than likely would like to make better decisions with the people that you either shack up with or you do business with, or knowing that who it is that you can trust with your information, and trust that you're finding people that can give you good information. As we go forward and into the third quarter, which is July, August, and September of 2025, we have Uranus that enters into Gemini. And Uranus energy is all about awakening. Like, there's going to be a lot of people just waking up left, right, and center. And it's just going to be like popcorn. And this is a really great time just have those realizations, those mini awakenings. Like, other people are going to realize this too, along with you. But overall, growth, I love it. Like, this may be a really weird start to 2025, but I feel like this is the thing that you need. This is sort of like the awkward starting point that it'll be fine once it's done and over with, cuz you just want to grow up. You just want to be able to be the person who it is that you desire to be. We've started off with a lot of rain and now we have a lot of sunshine, but this is also tremendous enlightenment. the the absurd idea that you could actually be yourself and be able to stay founded and established, and regardless if it is you're trying to pursue a career with an established business, or if you're looking to start your own small business and move forward, be an artist, be a writer, be an influencer, like whatever it is that you want to be established in, it's so easy for us to get caught up, like, it's like my dad getting angry at the idea of me wanting to go to art college, because how the hell are you supposed to make money as an artist? But with you guys, this feels as though, well, how does one make money as an artist? There's a question that you've been asking yourself, and it creates a lot of this conflict from within, but you just want to answer the question. Why? Because there's something within that question that reflects the person who you want to be. Where does you want to go? How would you like to spend the rest of your life? Would you like to continue to be miserable, or would you like to continue on a growth trajectory? You've hit the glass ceiling with whatever this is, but that's opening up. After I go to cut, we got the 6 of Cups. This feels like, for the third quarter, lot of reflection. Like, I'm making dad jokes left, right, and center, partly because I do have a dad who is an Aries. But there's something to be said about you making nice with your masculine energy. What things did your parents teach you about what it meant to be established? Like, there's good advice where it's sort of like, okay, you should save up for retirement using compound interest. Like, it's not a bad idea, but it's not the only way to secure retirement. Like, parents and teachers are there to help guide us when we're younger so that we can make smarter choices at a younger age. But sometimes we get caught up in the idea that, oh, like once I hit my 40s, once I hit my 50s, I'm fucked. And that's not true. It was just a warning that people gave you when you were 18, talking about compound interest, like, $1,000 turns into $1,000,000 doing nothing. Like, yeah, sure. I know the math doesn't check on that, but, sue me. This is just an illustration. That was fun for me. Thank you. But, like, it doesn't mean that you're screwed now. Like, you can't go back into the past. You don't have a TARDIS. You don't have a time machine. So, how the hell are you supposed to make a life for yourself at this point within the game? And it's too late, baby. No, it's too late. Lies! We got the card of the devil right here, but this is a little bit more of that benevolent energy. What you desire does desire you. There's something absurd about the way you're going to start viewing yourself in the third quarter of 2025, where your desires are just going to start kicking up. And this feels really good because as you're growing and you're becoming so confident with the person that you desire to be, you're learning how to embody this Capricorn, this deviled energy. In the past, it might have gotten you down, making you feel as though you've already fucked up. So why continue starting? Like, that's a lack mindset that holds a lot of people back. They stay in complacent relationships. Um uh, they stay at companies just because, well, at least it pays the bills, and you want more. Like, there's plenty of people that can be apathetic within the world, but I feel like you're a way shower and you might even be a curse breaker, especially if you have had these arguments with your family. But you're being asked to revitalize what family means to you, what communication means to you, and what it is you wish to get out of a meaningful partnership. We also got the card of the moon. I've been seeing this card a lot for all of the signs. Like, your subconscious is the key. How it is you think about yourself, how it is that you're processing information quietly, like that is the key to your abundance. Like, you are being guided to really ramp up your spiritual practice when it comes to journaling, but more importantly, meditation, learning how to sit in the silence. Sometimes it's easy for us to get so caught up with always wanting to have information, always trying to like live stream, always trying to get downloads, always trying to do this. Like, you're seeking out external information, and whatever lesson you have learned at the first part of the year is recognizing, wait, I know way better what is right for me. I'm appreciative of how people have tried to help. There's an appreciation for all the information that you've collected, but it means nothing until you're able to embody it from within and really have a healthy relationship with your unconscious self. What else do we have? There we go. High Priestess, unconscious AF. Like, well, this is well, this is in the shadow aspect. Like, we've talked a little bit about the moon versus the priestess. The moon, it's there, but you can't see it. But the high priestess sees it even though it's not there. Your intuition is in for a huge upgrade during the third quarter of 2025. And it's going to be so important to know the difference between not seeing it versus seeing it. Your third eye could be going through a lot of openings, but that's this growth, that's this expansion from Q2 with Jupiter going into Cancer, really honoring your subconscious because the growth is happening from within. The outside world may not register what's actually going on, and quite frankly, it's kind of none of their business. When you go into the fourth quarter, and before I pull the card, there is an ask within here, Aries. What do you want? Like, where do you want to be in a year? Like, there's an ask for you to do some goal setting and thinking about where it is you'd like to go. Who is it that you'd like to embody? Where is it that you would like to be? Nature abhors a vacuum, but the universe will not create the path unless you ask for it. There's this activation with Neptunian energy, especially since it is within your cardinal sign of Aries. What do you want to what do you want to get done? Like, there's something about really being established, knowing that I can make decisions for myself and I can welcome people in, or I can tell them to fuck off. But it gets so much easier when you're in this um forward moving, positive thinking energy that you just magnetize people who are in alignment. And if they're not in alignment, they just kind of disappear. It becomes way more effortless. You're not going to be as focused on pushing people away who are obnoxious, who are just trying to take your money, they're trying to get your attention. Like there's a massive shift during the latter part of 2025. And as you go into the fourth quarter, which is October, November, and December, you're getting a brand new fucking perspective on your whole life, I'm hearing. But there's something very childlike about um this particular season of your life. You know, you'll be going into the winter solstice, like literally a year from now. Like, you're being encouraged, write notes to yourself, get into your calendar and write notes to your future self. There's something that you can do to really encourage the future version of you to move forward through this, because there's going to be a huge ask for you to have some, what's the word I'm thinking of? Like, you're gonna have to be really honest with yourself with what it is that you want and how it is you're actually thinking. Not the way that you should be thinking, how you should be perceiving a situation. That's what your parents taught you, how you should behave. But they're not here to guide you in that way anymore. Ideally, you should be over the age of 18 and making your own decisions. Your parents, your teachers, the guides of your youth, they were only there just to give you a template to work with, but you're becoming the author of your story. Oh, I love it. We do have the 10 of swords, and I'm really feeling like you're coming out of this feeling like other people have betrayed you. Maybe you gotten bad advice that has stabbed you in the back. Um, Learning from all of this, especially if you've made some serious mistakes that you feel like you never could get yourself out of. And I'm hearing, wait, I get myself out of it. And I realize I've been lying to myself the entire time. What? Like we got the sun. There's a lot of oh, like given that we have the moon in Q3, going to the sun in Q4, like Aries is in for some amazing epiphanies, some profound enlightenment on your journey. We also got the Six of Pentacles along with the Knight of Cups. You're just no longer going to be giving to half-assed offers. Like, there's something very tension reducing by the time you get to the fourth quarter, where you'll just see it for what it is. Because when Neptune goes back into Pisces for a period of time, like, you spent all this energy getting yourself established, and then you can kind of revisit the subconscious. It's like floating on an inner tube on a lazy river, and it's like, yeah, you know what? I got this. Like, you're going to be able to wrap up this whole year, and the outside will be like, how did you do it? A lot of people will be jealous and they will not understand what it is you had to go through internally to arrive to the inner tube version of you that's riding on the lazy river. But they can ask. I'm sure you could tell them the story. There's an ask for you for 2025. What kind of story are you going to tell people about your journey? After we go to shuffle and we wrap up today's reading for 2025, we got the Chamber of Inspiration, Bliss, Aspiration, Realization. Did you know that you are allowed to have a happy life? It's okay to aspire to greater things. You are not the sum of your parents. You're not the sum of your religion, nor are you the sum of your culture. You're rising up, you're elevating, you're learning how to embody your true divine self. Just take heed a lot of the questions I had asked you during this reading. Take some time to really have a quiet meditative practice. You have all the answers that you seek, and all the answers that you need to your problem lie from within. I'm just saying, wow. Well, Aries, however 2025 manifests for you, I really hope that this helped. Make sure to check out the timestamps below. There are plenty of other messages that are going to be able to help you as you navigate this particular year. If this was helpful, please let me know by liking, send me a comment, and if you need some help as you traverse the next year ahead, make sure you subscribe. And until I see you at the next one, I'm wishing you peace, love, and all the berries. Bye! Welcome in, Leo. Oh man, so what does the Leo Collective have to look forward to coming up in the year 2025? Like, right off the bat, I feel as though there are going to be some changes going on within your home life, especially if you feel as though your situation, your living situation is starting to wear a little bit thin on you. Um, like, we'll see what the cards have to say, but I'd like to think that 2025 could be a chance where you can start reeling in the recognition that you know you deserve. So, what's the overall theme for 2025? Abundance. Like, there's this really cool shift that I think Leo is going to be able to start enjoying for 2025. Like, this feels like good news, and I'd like to assume this is good news. It's going to be important right now to make sure that wherever it is that you are at, and as you enter into 2025, Leo, that there's enough for all of us. I think a few of you may have been struggling, like, well, there's enough for them, but not for me. Or if I have everything, maybe there's not enough for them. And then there's also a joke in here. There are a lot more fish in the sea. The people that you've been aligning to, and even some of your habits, when it comes to family, when it comes to your home life, there's an opportunity for that to shift, so you can start welcoming in your abundance. And because this is the card of number one, a new beginning, like 2025, I'd like to think for Leo, like, this is the beginning, this is the starting point. Everything that I have worked for has accumulated up until this moment. So the way that I'm going to be breaking down today's reading is going to be through quarterly periods. January, February, March for Q1, for example. And we're going to be going through the year and seeing what the divine is trying to do and attempting to orchestrate in order to make sure that you can make the most of the upcoming year. We'll also have a look at the astrological aspects that could be impacting you and see how you are going to be able to end off 2025. Is it going to be on a are you going to finish it on a bang? Is it going to be a dud? I'd like to think positively, but let's dive into the reading. For the first quarter, where we're talking about, the spring equinox welcoming in the brand new year, the months of January, February, March. The North Node will be going into Pisces during this time, and the North Node is about the shift of destiny, where it is that you need to start focusing your energy and leaving behind sort of your karma, bad habits, past life habits. For you guys specifically, you're gonna have to really think outside of your comfort zone. The moment I sit and try to settle in to this North Nodal energy, like, my head really hurts. It's just, this doesn't feel clear, guys. So what's the card for Q1? Oh, we got the card of memory. This feels like a memorization game to some degree. I know I'm supposed to be remembering something. Did I remember the keys? And I feel like, Leo, there's gonna be this uncomfortable sense for the first few months of 2025 where it feels like a repeat of events. Have I been here before? Like, am I supposed to be doing this? Is this the repeat of bad events? Like, in some ways, the memory card, it's it's like your sense of direction. When you were a child growing up, do you remember the route that you used to take to get to school? Do you remember how to get to your friend's house? There's something about this specific type of memory with how you mapped things out when you were a kid. But I feel like, Leo, you're going through a major rewiring. And when our brain is learning new things, having to memorize new information, especially as we get a little bit older, new pathways have to be forged. Your brain literally and physically rewrites itself, and it could feel a little bit uncomfortable for the first few months of 2025. What do the cards have to say? Huh? We got the moon, and it is kind of fascinating so far. I'm about halfway through the zodiac or almost there, and I've gotten the moon, I think, for almost every single reading. There's a lot that's being accomplished within your subconscious, and it's how you access memories. Oh, let's get like, what are the cards at the top? Like, because I feel like 2025, you're going to be starting off feeling a little bit fuzzy about stuff, and that could be a little bit alarming. We'd like to think we start off the year like, yeah, okay, bam, we're done. Let's go on to the next thing, and that's just not how reality works. It's just a calendar reset, and we just happen to have a bunch of holidays, but it doesn't mean that our brains are quite they're not quite there, especially depending on how you wish to trash yourself into the new year. There is an ask within here to be a little bit more sober than you're accustomed to being. I hear a few of you sitting here going, lame. It's okay. At the top over here, we do have the Page of Swords. There's a lot of confusion going on for the first quarter. And I feel this almost feels malicious, as though I don't think this is your energy, but it's sort of like you go to your friends and you kind of whine, bitch, and complain. I don't understand what's going on in my life. But your friend responds with, "Oh, why are you making that my problem?" And it's like, I wasn't making it your problem. I was just trying to share what's going on. I was trying to bounce off some ideas. Geez, someone's taking it personally. Like, I just feel as though the people that you normally go to get ideas, to even try to remember past events, or even sometimes it's nice when a friend can remind you of you. Have you ever had that with someone? You're hanging out for coffee and they bring up an old memory, a fond memory, ideally. It's like, oh man, I forgot I used to be that way. I forgot that it happened. This is the opposite of that. Let's get a couple more cards. Nine of Cups, but this is in its shadow aspect along with the Hermit. I nearly thought it was in its shadow. Like, because we do have the moon underneath here, like, I feel as though the way that you feel about your friendships, there's an internal shift going on with you. And it's kind of one of these things where you're going to talk to your friends about the past or your memories, and it's as though they have a completely different recollection of events. And that can be a little bit alarming sometimes. But there's something about the way that you are rewriting your story, not rewriting history, at least not in that weird toxic kind of way that some people can attribute that statement to. Uh, think of it more like you're retreating inward. Even if you're talking with these people, there's something about Leo in the first quarter where you have been withdrawing yourself, trying to figure out, do I really want to communicate with these people? How come they're not getting what it is that I'm saying? You may feel a lot of friction, fog, and tension for the first few months of the year. This isn't you. In some ways, you're being asked to have a look at your situation to start realizing you have changed. Your brain is literally rewriting yourself, and that's going to be very applicable to any of you who have been pursuing a new education, trying to learn some new things, create a new skill or a hobby, especially if you're in the middle of a career change. When you start learning new things, you just don't identify with your coworkers or your friends in the way that you used to, because you want to talk about the new things that you are learning. And some of these people, it's like they're stuck and stagnant and they don't want to grow with you. I feel like the first few months, there could be a lot of tension going on between you and the people that you usually would communicate with. But what about the second quarter? Because we're going into April, May, and June for 2025. Like, Jupiter is going to be going into Cancer around this time. And Jupiter is all about our expansion, like going to the next level. And that's very Cancerian. The moon that showed up sort of for this first quarter, I feel like the beginning part of the year is sort of as though a shadow of events to come, and you shouldn't allow that to provoke you per se, but there's a lot of there's a lot of repeat messages that I have been hearing where it's like you got to go inward, because until you can understand the universe from within, you can't have it manifest through you can't have it manifest outwardly into your reality because you want more. Like, again, there's a lot of fish in the sea, and some of these people where you're trying to share your knowledge and you actually want them to be able to take care of themselves. You want them to get this knowledge even for free. And it's just like they're not registering it. Neptune will also be going into Pisces during. Pardon me, Neptune will be going into Aries during this season. It's been sitting in Pisces for the first part of the year. And again, that's like this cyclical wait, I'm having an awakening. I'm seeing things for what it is. I need to come up to the surface for air and create some semblance of establishment. You've been a little bit airy fairy more than likely, and you've been associated with people that, oh, it'd be nice to have abundance, but that's just a pipe dream. And there's this drive from within to start making your dreams a reality, create a semblance of foundation. There's going to be some massive shifts in community. Like, I feel as though you've been subconsciously manifesting this anyways, because when you want to embrace a new change, you got to make sure that the it's like I say the change from within to bring without, but once the changes happen from within, you realize, wait, I got to start making some changes through without. God, I really hope that made sense. I just made myself a little bit dizzy. Now I suddenly have the hiccups. Like, there's gonna be some solar plexus shifts going on by the time you get into the springtime, second quarter of 2025. And, spring is all about renewal, getting back onto your feet, um, and just making some thoughtful intentions about where it is you really want to go. If you felt down and out and realizing that the people you've been associating with are just stuck in old karmic loops and thinking patterns that they just don't align with what you know to be true from within, there is an ask to start thinking about where are you rooting yourself. Aries is a very um Aries is emperor energy, and with Neptune going into Aries, like, your dreams need to become a reality, and it's about the roots underneath the surface, finally being able to anchor yourself in, no longer feeling like having abundance and autonomy is a pipe dream. But it's scary. I feel a little bit scared and intimidated, especially for any Leos who felt self-conscious, worried that you could be uppity, or maybe you're leaving somebody behind, or worse off, maybe you've been made fun of in the past by people for trying to step up or be open or just being your sunshiny, happy self. What do we got over here? Yeah, we got Four of Wands. Like, this is a bit of a confirmation talking about there needs to be a shift within home life. Whether if this is your family's just not on board with your career decisions, especially if they're like, well, that's great for you, honey, but are you sure that's what you want to do? Because this other thing that you had, like, it was pretty secure. Are you sure you want to do this? Like, I got so much naysaying energy going on, and that could really feel unsettling, especially if the people that you thought that you could have count on the most to support you, just maybe they're not showing up. But let's have a closer look at community in Q2. We got the Hierophant. It's not quite the Emperor, but there's something about challenging a traditional system. It's one thing to like work for a big corporate company. It's another to go out on your own and start your own business. Both are valid, but one carries a higher degree of risk than the other. But if you're surrounded by people who only work for corporate America or they only know the reality of working for somebody else, in some ways, can you blame them for wanting to hold you back? You're going into a territory that is uncertain to these people. I feel like you're very certain about what it is that you desire to do. And you might be dealing with a little bit of disappointment during this time, especially if you kind of realize that, "Oh, okay, so these people that I thought that they would just cheer me on, I have to pour extra energy into proving myself." Like, eh, I'm being a little bit melodramatic. Why? Because Leo. I feel like there could be some tears and just a real need for Leo to be super honest about your emotions from within. You don't need to be honest with these people necessarily. Um, but whatever these people are trying to tell you, warn you about, first of all, you have to ask yourself, is it worth sharing with them in the first place? And if you've gone ahead and shared with them and they want to give you the opinion, how can you be the emotionally mature one? Whoa, to handle that. I just got this cascading through my ear. What do we have right here? We got the Queen of Swords. There it is. Yeah, and her shadow aspect along with Five of Cups. Like, you gotta take everybody else's advice with a grain of salt. And you have to understand that other people have had their experiences. So if you're going out, for example, and starting a new business and you go to tell your father about it, but your father had like a failed business, your parent in this analogy, they do care about you. It's not as though they don't care. However, they don't want you to go through what they went through. And the problem is that you're different people. This person doesn't know how to differentiate their reality from your reality. And that's common. That's usually how we operate. I went through a thing and I share it with you because maybe my thing will help you with this thing. But whatever it is you're doing, it's different. Like, it's a different timeline, it's a different generation, it's a different approach. And you're in this position where you know you're worthy of more, and maybe it could be worth the risk. Like, there's going to be an ask for Leo to be very anchored in during this time and making sure that you are aware of your own emotions compared to the emotions of others. It is easy for us to entangle our emotions with other people, but just because somebody else had a business failure doesn't mean that it's guaranteed your failure. It just means you're talking to the wrong people and your community needs to change so that you're talking to people who have a sense of success. There is an asterisk in here for some of you who might have fallen for schemes within the past. But given that we saw the moon a little bit earlier, because there's a lot of shifts going on within your own subconscious, I feel as though you have a way better radar to understand when someone's scamming you, trying to take money from you, offering you, oh, sort of offering you the pipe dream. Like, it's okay to make some mistakes within here, but it's going to be important to really be anchored to your heart during this time. Once we get into the third quarter, like, Uranus will be going into Gemini. So we're talking about the months of July, August, as well as September, and that'll be wrapping up with the autumnal equinox. This is the fruits of your labor, and in some ways, I feel like you're kind of challenging yourself throughout 2025. It's sort of like, well, can I just prove them wrong? Can I just prove that I'm right and you're wrong? I don't think there's anything wrong inherently with that, but it's going to be so important that you're still focusing on proving things to yourself. What's the card for Q3 right now? Risk. I love it. Going out, it's kind of going out, taking the risk towards your own abundance. There's a lot of fish in the sea, but right now, because of where you were at, you know how to get clams. So there's something about being really realistic by the time you get to the third quarter, and also being sensible. You are at risk during these months of going out and doing risks recklessly. Like, be very cautious during this time. With Uranus going into Gemini, which is one of the outer planets, that's a generational shift is going on. And Gemini energy is about being quick-witted, easily communicative. But I feel like a lot of folks, including yourself, will be going through a lot of these awakenings through the latter part of 2025, and just this realization, wait, if I don't take the risk, if I don't try to work towards my own passion and my own purpose, what's the fucking point? You're trying to break a habit, and it's a habit based on what you were taught by your family, taught by a community, taught by society. And that's the reason why they're holding you back. They're afraid of taking the risk, but you are not. Um, but again, it's going to be so important. Try not to be reckless during this time. Having a meditative practice for this year is going to help really anchor you in, so that you know when you're listening to your divine guidance versus the lizard brain kicking in, or your friends and family's lizard brains kicking in and trying to hold you back. Because there are some parents out there that hold their children back because it's like, if my kid fucks up, it's going to be my job to rescue them. And parents will carry on this mentality into their 80s, even if their children are in their 50s. It's a little of this handler feeling. But we got the card of with the card of risk in Q3. What's the overall energy? It's very transformative. Like, we got the card of death. By the time you get to the latter part into the summertime of 2025, the way that you perceive risk is going to shift. And it's sort of like I'm hearing that you're going to be so thankful that you were willing to take a little bit of a risk. And I'm hearing for some of you, it might feel like the 11th hour or by the skin of your teeth. What do we have right here? We got the Hanged Man. Like, I feel as though this is a long time coming, but there's something about this tension that you've had to learn how to helpfully navigate, to really make sure that you're satisfying your soul, and you're not in the habit of trying to prove to a ghost, or prove to your parents, or prove to somebody from your past that you could be successful. Like, I feel like you or these people might have been chasing off somebody else's expectations. But let's get a couple more cards. Oh, there we go. We got the card of the devil, which this card's popped up quite a few times with a lot of the readings. Like, who are you going to be attached to? Because some people are just content with being attached to a company for the rest of their life, being attached to the idea of working into their retirement because they have to. But this is more of the risk of, can I just be in my 30s or 40s and just retire and just have the attitude that I want to live my life in a way that is meaningful to me, rather than trying to scrape through life, trying to make ends meet? Because that's what these people are struggling with. What else we have? Got the Chariot, and the temptation to look back and compare yourself to these people, to your family. It could derail you. It's a bit of a confirmation with what I was saying a little bit earlier before I pulled the cards. Just make sure, Leo, during this period of your life, as you go through the third quarter of 2025, are you working for yourself, or are you trying to prove yourself to an invisible person? When you go into the fourth quarter, we're coming up to a year from now. We got the October, November, and December. Neptune will temporarily go back into Pisces. So this this feeling as though, okay, I need to get myself founded. I want to manifest and create this fantasy life where I got my shit together. But when it goes back into Pisces, you may be tempted to second guess yourself. And I'm not saying that's necessarily a bad thing, but there's an ask to sort of revisit a little bit of this bullshit so that your body and your mind can catch up to itself. What card do we have? Got the card teamwork right here. This is actually really cool. I actually have this feeling like, because we have community, and in some ways, either rooting yourself somewhere or in some ways moving yourself to someplace else. Like some of you may actually physically move this year, and some of you might even move cities. Like while I'm talking about taking a risk when it comes to work, this could just be I want to leave the country, I want to go traveling, I want to sell the house, I want to live as a monk. I don't know, whatever it is that Leo is technically up to during this time. But let's see, what is this teamwork about? I feel like sort of like the divine is giving you a chance to really prove yourself to the right people, proving yourself to the right group. I really feel as though you're going to get a soulmate or a soul team towards the end of 2025. They're going to see you for your potential, and they're going to want to work with you sort of independently and together, as though you've been looking for someone to really believe in you, but you had to, in a lot of ways, put to rest the people who don't believe in themselves, hence they don't believe in you. And once you were able to resolve that, you now are able to magnetize a group of people. They believe in themselves, hence they believe within you. What do we have at the base over here? Nine of Swords. I'm seeing the light at the end of the tunnel for you. Like 2025 is gonna be it'll be fraught with some repeat things, having to revisit some issues, and it's not to haunt you, it's to inform you. What do we got up here? Eight of Cups. Again, another common theme that I'm seeing for this year. Like, you need to move forward, and in some ways you're being invited to move forward from a previous version of yourself. You could be at risk of repeating a karmic cycle once you get towards the end of the year. But if you're able just to take the time to reflect on who it is that you have become, you're not the person who you were a year before. Like where you are at right now, Leo, can you even take for a moment, take 2 little minutes to think about the person who you're going to be in 1 year? Are you able to pour that energy into the universe to start manifesting a team dynamic of people that they actually see that you are full of potential? They're not full of bullshit. You might have been accustomed to people like that. This feels different. This feels transformative. Ah, and I pulled out these two cards together. Seven of Cups, Ten of Cups. Like this ability to dream your reality into existence will become possible. Being able to walk away from the naysayers and just recognize maybe they care about you, but just because they had a bad experience when they attempted to do something doesn't mean it has to dim your light. It doesn't need to inform you of your decisions. These people still need to understand their motivations when they tried taking a risk. Again, whether that is they moved to a different country, they changed careers, they started a business. Just because in the physical they tried doing the same thing and failed, their motivations, there was a problem with their motivational structure. That's not for you necessarily to point out. It's just for you to be aware. 2025 is about transparency, just seeing people for who it is that they actually are and honoring other people's journeys, even though on the surface they look the same. When you're willing to go inward and consult your own psyche and in a lot of ways make nice with your subconscious, you just make better decisions. Overall for 2025 for Leo, I like that we do have the card of 44, very angelic. We have the quantum continuator, self-sustaining systems, fluidity, and abundance. We start off the reading with abundance, we end with abundance. I really hope and pray that this particular reading gives you a lot of confidence. While you're going to be going through a lot of social change within your reality, this is just to help you solidify the type of life that you want, a life that is aligned to you, and finally feel confident in creating abundance that is sustainable and honestly just meets your needs and lets you be the person who you actually are. I'm just saying. Wow, Leo. However it is that 2025 manifests for you, I sincerely hope that this helped. Make sure to check out the timestamps below for your sun, moon, rising, and Venus signs. There are plenty of other messages there that are going to be able to help you navigate and piece together how 2025 is going to work out for you. If it if this resonated with you, please make sure to like the video on the way out. Send me a comment. I'm always curious. And if you really need some support coming into 2025, I highly recommend that you subscribe. And until I see you at the next one, I'm wishing you peace, love, and all the berries. Bye. Hey Sagittarius, let's have a look at what 2025 could have in store for you. Intuitively, I really feel like there's going to be a lot of healing when it comes to the way that you relate to your parents, whether if that is father wounding or just the way that you could relate to masculine energy. Some of you, a few of you, may be taking on a more of a parenting role. And if it's not a parental role, I feel like you guys are entering into this era of leadership, mentorship. This feels quite good. After I go to shuffle, we do have the card of survival, and I am going to cut this in half. Underneath that, balance. Oh, that's so cool, especially if you feel like you've been trying to survive in terms of trying to create a sense of family. It's sort of like blood might be thicker than water, but if you've had a very rough relationship when it comes to your parents or your family, there's a real good chance for you to start turning things around and making the most of your experience. So, the way I'm going to be breaking down today's reading, we'll be looking at the year based on financial quarters, and we'll also take into account some of the astrological aspects that could be impacting you during the year. But for the first quarter, which are the months of January, February, and March, the North Node does go into Pisces. Whenever we have a North Nodal shift, it puts us all into a position to start rethinking where it is we want to go on our path of destiny. Where do you want to find yourself a year from now, Sagittarius? Your advantage within your energy is to be the big picture thinker, to see things in the long term. And the overall energy, we got the card of mimicry. Like sometimes I see this card and it could be mockery, but I feel as though whatever your relationship was to family, parents, or authority figures, I feel like despite whatever those experiences were, especially if you found them to be very negative, oh man, like it's sort of like you're going to be able to cherry pick opportunities to take the wisdom from those experiences. You know, if someone in your life was a complete jerk but they were smart about a few things, it's this moment where as you heal and you forgive and move on, you'll be able to start plucking away at where it is they might have had it right and still be able to make the most and salvage whatever type of relationship this is. So let's go ahead and ask the tarot for a bit of an idea of what the first few months of 2025 could be like for you. It seems like a lot of Sagittarians could be struggling with second guessing themselves. I have this feeling as I'm trying to tune in, sort of as though you're trying brand new things, but trying not to let your insecurities hold you back, especially for those of you who might have, you ever heard of the tape recorder in the back of your mind? And sometimes a mean thing that someone said to you from your past could crop up. But after I go to shuffle, we do have the card of judgment at the base. This is letting go of a previous version of yourself, healing, forgiving, death, rebirth. I feel like this part of the year, as you start off 2025, You're going to be getting to know a new version of yourself. What cards do we have? We got the Knight of Pentacles. I'm hearing due diligence, getting the job done, but this feels very stabilizing. What else do we have? The Chariot. Like when your car is in alignment, you can move forward, and where whatever realizations or epiphanies that you have taken away from 2024, or maybe a lot of experience you've had just in your life in general, it's giving you a chance to again find balance, find that equilibrium, be able to move forward. We also have the Emperor. Like, you'll start having some contrast in the first few months, giving you a chance to identify where people might have given you bad advice. Oh, they're so well meaning. I'm just trying to look out for you. And sort of being able to dismiss that frustrating energy. You've had a lot of people give you a lot of unsolicited advice, and it may have been confusing because maybe they are an authority figure in something, but when you learn how to differentiate bad ideas from good ideas by anchoring into your intuition, you actually start to recognize where people are just pretending that they're solid versus actually having a solid foundation. I feel like you're going to be establishing a brand new beginning just in terms of your relationship to yourself. There's a lot from 2024, it feels like, Sagittarius, that you're going to be able to just put to bed, recognize that's what happened, and it's helping you grow up. And I feel like you're going to start embracing a lot of this healing in the first few months. As you continue to move forward, we go into the second quarter, which are the months of May, April, and June. And we do have a lot of outer transits going on when it comes to the planets. Jupiter will be moving into Cancer, and Jupiter is an expansive opportunity where you can grow into the person that you desire to be, and in some ways be able to shed previous versions of yourself. But because it's Cancerian, there's a lot of subconscious work, a lot of inner, your inner demons may need to be chased off. Like, I feel as though, Sagittarius, you might have been a little bit haunted by a bunch of things that may have gone down in your life. But also, we have Neptune going into Aries. Neptune is our dream space. And when we check out of reality and we try to imagine what life could be when we get our abundance, when we get ourselves established. And within Aries, there's something about putting more practicality behind your dreams. But what's the overall energy? We got the card of displacement. I've been seeing a lot of signs getting this particular card. And sometimes it feels as though if you go to take a risk, you could lose everything. But there's something unique that I feel when it comes to Sagittarius. It's more that there's some cleanup. That's what it is. Okay. In the second quarter, like there might be a little bit of cleanup that has to be done. Especially if you're starting to feel more confident with the type of family dynamic you would prefer to have within your life. It requires you to make some very serious choices. But you know, in the previous months, we got Nine of Pentacles, the Chariot, the Emperor. You're being very practical. You're starting it off just realizing, hey, I have some personal considerations that I do need to take into account. After I go to shuffle, got the card of the Sun. Like, it's this feeling like as long as you know it's going to be okay, you have no problem making the decisions and moving forward. I get a supreme sense of enthusiasm, even if we do have a card of displacement. It's just things need to be cleaned up, a little bit of spring cleaning, if you will. We do have the card of the High Priestess. And when you recognize that people, maybe they're interfering, they're giving you too much information, they're giving you unsolicited advice, and sometimes we want to give them the time of day because we want them to feel valuable. But when you turn things around and realize you're the one who's valuable and your intuition, your decisions are the ones that should be honored, it becomes a little bit of a no-brainer. What else do we have? got the card of the Empress hanging out in her shadow aspect, along with Nine of Wands. Like, given that we have Empress and Emperor, yin yang going on within the first part of the year, you're just seeing your own value. Like in the major arcana, the High Priestess 2, Empress 3, Emperor 4. There is this brand new beginning, and recognizing that you're the one that had to be self established and no longer depending on other people. Like Sagittarius, I feel like this is the year where you're going to be able to feel more autonomous, get on your own feet, and again, finding a sense of healthy balance, work life balance, balancing your family, especially if you've had a rough relationship with the people that you would call family. It's up to you to decide how it is you wish to interact with these energies, with these people, and you can make a decision. Well, if this is the way that they're going to be, and I still wish to interact with them, at least you can just honor them, let them be who it is that they are, rather than trying to meddle, to change them, project an ideal onto them. Because whatever this is that you're learning to overcome, they've projected their ideal onto you and it stressed you out. It's this turnabout is fair play kind of feeling. As you move through the year and we get into the third quarter, we're going into the months of July, August, and September. We also have another major planet changing signs, which is Uranus going into Gemini. I'm already seeing within the third quarter, a lot of people are going to be going through some massive awakenings. And sometimes it's just a chance for us to be more open and communicative about our realizations, our epiphanies. And it's not even to seek out validation. If you have a belief system, when you're in this energy with Uranus in Gemini, it's sort of like, I'm just telling you what it is that I think I believe. I'm just telling you what it is that I realize. You don't necessarily need to seek out any kind of validation from it. But it's one of these things where you share something and somebody else turns to you is like, you think that too? I'm not the only one. It feels like the third quarter for the soul tribe in general, you're going to be meeting your soul tribe, and it's the people who you share the same absurd ideas, but they're not unhealthy. It's not like getting stuck in a cult or a conspiracy. This is you doing a lot of this internal work and realizing, hey, maybe there are a couple other people out there who see the world from the same perspective. Like it's very exciting. What's the overall energy? Battle. Like it is kind of fun where I'm seeing this opportunity for you to start being way more open, but it's sort of like you might be holding yourself back for a little bit. There may be this hesitation in the third quarter of 2025 where do I really believe what it is that I actually believe? And you may be afraid of it causing a bit of a shit storm. Let's get let's shuffle the tarot, see what kind of detail we can get on what this third quarter could be like for you. And in some ways, this isn't something that I'm super worried about. It's just like an old fear, or if you shared this with a family member, a past version of you would have been afraid if of them snapping at you. But I feel like this is starting to smooth out. What do we have at the base over here? We do have Two of Wands. It sounds like there's going to be a path direction. It's as though you share something with someone and they're like, I can't deal with you anymore. And it kind of gives you permission to walk away from it. It's like, okay, if you don't get it, well, I'm just going to go over here. Some of this year, you may be a little bit timid making some decisions. Again, you want to make sure that you're making good decisions, that you're not putting yourself into what's called the sunk cost fallacy. Have you ever heard that term before? Where you just keep trying the same thing over and over and over again, but you don't necessarily get the results that you were looking for. And there's something quite definitive that seems to occur within the third quarter of 2025 where It's just like, "No, okay, I'm done." Like, you're learning how to pick your battles rather than investing into things that would drain you or continue to confuse you. What do we have right here? Page of Wands. Your ability to share your creative ideas, it will start opening up. I feel as though Sagittarians, you're gonna feel a lot, um you're gonna feel fearless. And fear is a weird feeling. We always feel fear. You're supposed to feel it. Fear is the mechanism that helps you survive and ensure that you don't do something completely epically stupid. People who are accustomed to getting onto stage, performing, doing speeches, they'll always share with anybody, oh no, I feel nervous going onto stage. The person who may struggle with stage fright, they'll feel the energy of the crowd and they'll crumble underneath it. But it's one of these things where it doesn't matter if they're the professional who's accustomed to creating speeches and giving speeches versus the person who is complete epic stage fright. They all feel the same thing. And there's some kind of realization if you just share what's going on and you work through the fear, not avoid the fear, but work through it, there's again, there's an awakening, there's a chance to seek out other soulmates and like-minded individuals. What do we have? We got the Ace of Pentacles. Like, I do see it within its shadow aspect. I feel like there could be some energies. This really feels like there's an energy around you that might try to hold you back. But again, this is divinely guided to really enable you to realize, wait, because if you notice that the chain, there's a linked chain surrounding the pentacle versus if you looked at it in its light aspect, it's like the laurel, growth versus bondage. When you're fearless and you share your ideas and you see how people react, there's this realization you're getting where people who would just take advantage of you or try to drag you down or even to steal some of your ideas, there's a lot of independence that I feel Sagittarians are going to start being able to, like, I want to say glom onto your own independence. I know that's a weird way of phrasing it. Let's get one more card. King of Cups. Like, you're growing up, and in many ways it's this feeling like, hey, I got this really cool thing, like, I started working on this project, this hobby, this new thing at work, has started to ramp up, and if someone else looks at that and they're like, well, maybe I should take over that, or are you really sure that's what you want to do? This is a little bit of this Debbie Downer feeling that sort of crops up. This could be internally, this could be with someone that you're externally working with, but given that we do have the high priestess earlier in the year, recognizing where other people's concerns, other people's negative mindsets, if you're learning to differentiate yourself from other, like, you're becoming very enabled and it gives you way more authority to speak to people. It's like, that is appropriate or that is inappropriate. Or you're just simply recognizing this person is not mature enough to handle what it is that I'm talking about. And when you recognize that, you don't have to worry about getting their permission. Like, when you have a shift when in the way that you interact with friends, family, and coworkers, the ones that don't get you and the ones that are just trying to keep you down, keep your vibration low, they try to harp on your energy. Like, you will still be struggling a little bit with some self-doubt during this time, but the universe is orchestrating all of this so that you can start feeling stronger and confident. It's okay to admit when you have been wrong, and a past version of you may have been a little bit too arrogant about a situation, but it's going to be important, even right now, the moment that you are watching this video, just be yourself. Gather all the aspects of you, Sagittarius, and just be here right now. You've been going through an experience called being a human, and it's all culminating into an amazing story. You are going to be writing an epic story throughout 2025, and it's up to you to decide what kind of narrative you wish to speak, because the people that need to hear your story, They will be around and available when they're ready for you. Does that make any sense? As you move forward, we go into the fourth quarter, and that's October, November, and December. Where do you want to be a year from now? There's going to be a toggle with Neptune going back into Pisces. It's this feeling throughout the whole year where you're kind of stuck underneath the water trying to figure out how to make the most of some crazy ass shit going on underneath the surface, finding yourself the energy to poke your head out just for a moment and think about how you can dream make a practical dream and find ways to bring things back into reality. But for the latter part of the year in the fourth quarter, you sink back into the water. But in some ways, this is giving you a plan, a strategy. What are the aspects in your subconscious that are ready to come out to the surface? Have you been too afraid to share your true self with the world? This is giving you a chance to start shining your authentic self. What's the overall energy? Routine. Like, I love a lot of these readings. The end is starting to loop around similar to the beginning. Knight of Pentacles and the card of routine, they are sister cards. And there could be like, soul sister reconciling with a sister. Like that's going to that'll only resonate with a couple of you guys. But the way that you go about your day-to-day life will change. I will warn you, some of you should be expecting changes within work, changes within your housing situation. This isn't anything to be afraid of. I'd like to believe that you're going for the upgrade. When you are honoring your divine guidance and you're honoring your high priestess knowing, and again, you could be male, female, or non-binary. The high priestess is the energy. I've been there, I've done that, and I've experienced something, and I want to be able to make the most of my experience because nobody understands you except yourself. And that can feel a little bit isolating. There are diviners like me out there that we've been through similar situations and we try to use our personal experience in a way that would be helpful to people like you. But I feel as though you're going to get a chance to start paying it forward, especially if a year from now you desire to be established, that you desire to be in a home that you can actually call a home, to have a better work routine, a workout routine. Health is going to be very highlighted for everybody, this especially for the first part of the year. Just knowing that you need to take care of yourself, whether if that is your physical health through your nutrition, or I just saw 2222, or taking care of your mental well-being by removing people from your life who are contributing to the imbalances. But overall, for the latter part of the year, we do have Three of Swords, but it's in the releasing aspect, just releasing some heartache, forgiving. It's a little bit of judgment this judgment vibration that we picked up at the beginning of the year. I feel like there's a sense of closure, but once something closes down, it means you can open something else up. Like there might be some heartbreak along the way because you might have to say no to people that you do care about to some degree. But I think it's more that you have to say no to people because they don't actually care about you. There is no equal reciprocity. That's what we have up here. The devil. Like, this is the benevolent Beelzebub. Blah, blah, blah. Try to say that 3 times fast. But there is this chance for you to start oh, this is like you're becoming admirable. Like rather than trying to make yourself look all desirable, hope people pick you, hope people see you. Sometimes, no judgment, we can put on a little bit of a pathetic face, little puppy eyes, hoping that people will notice us. But there's something very different about your sense of confidence that's going to become supremely attractive, especially a year from the day that I'm channeling this message. Your fourth quarter, there's going to be a lot of closure, but it's because you're established. You feel confident within yourself. Three of Pentacles. This is a bit of confirmation about work or even just the types of people that you collaborate with. This could be a project, this could be a promotion. I feel as though you're going to be getting some semblance of recognition, and it's all based on all the hard work that you invested into yourself throughout the year of 2025. King of Wands, I really love this. Like, this is you coming into your own divine authority. I was talking a little bit earlier, father healing, masculine healing, and recognizing that you can declare to the universe what you want to do. Sagittarians, you are all about the big picture. You are all about seeing a situation and recognizing, okay, the details, they're a little bit muddy and I got to work through this, but there's something about your natural inclination to look at the big picture that's going to be able to help you through the minutia. Just make sure you're not skipping over details, that you're taking the time to honor what's going on around you. But a year from now, I am seeing that you, Sagittarius, will be able to start, that term from The Simpsons, coming up Millhouse. Even though a situation may seem dire at first, there's something about the way that you have orchestrated everything on a subconscious level that is going to work out so well for you. So beautiful positive thinking mindset. So overall, Sagittarius, for the year of 2025, I do have the seal of evolutionary colors, progressive awareness, multi-directional change. Get ready for a very fascinating ride. There are a lot of changes being orchestrated by your guides and your ancestors in order to make sure you can break from negative thought patterns, break away from toxic family habits, be able to start establishing yourself and be able to learn how to govern yourself. Because if you are established and you do feel confident, you can make decisions, you can be the leader, and you can actually be an excellent example to everybody else around you. I'm just saying, wow, Sagittarius. However, your 2025 manifests for you, I sincerely hope that this helps. Um, Thanks for sticking around. Please make sure to like the video on the way out. But before you do so, look at the timestamps below. There are a lot of fantastic messages to help support you on your journey. If you think you're going to need a lot of support coming up to this next year in 2025, I do recommend that you subscribe. And until I see you at the next one, I'm wishing you peace, love, and all the berries.